like a Hellcat.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? How you guys doing today? Well, first and foremost, I want to give first and foremost, I want to give thanks to God for giving me another day of life. Amen. And I do want to apologize for yesterday for not doing a video. I said I called in my help. I called in my job in because I've been doing a COVID test today because I don't feel not that I don't feel good. I've been having a headache for like a week now, and that's not normal with me. I don't have that. So when I called my doctor yesterday to ask him to give me an appointment to see what's going on, so we can get some MRI or whatever the case may be. He told me to go do a COVID test first, so I went and I'm doing a COVID test today with my family. Hopefully everything comes out negative. I called my job, so I'll be missing out all those days. That's money that I'll be losing, and I don't have insurance for that. You know, I have Aflac, they pay you if you're sick, but I guess it is what it is, and I have to do what I have to do. But anyway, but thank you each and every one of you guys for subscribing to my channel. I wanted to say something on the comment that the young man Ray Roberts said about me not being Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil's way smart, and I never said I was never comparing myself to Dr. Phil. I said, could I be the next Dr. Phil of Oz, because I have the experience. As you know, and he said he's very smart, and I wanted to say something that for you to be a psychiatrist, you don't have to be smart. You just have to learn. Most psychiatrists, what they do is just read. Okay, so when you go to psychiatry school, when you go to medical school and you go to college and you go for your psychiatry, you go for psychology, and then after that you gotta do another 4 years of medical school. There's a lot of writing, there's a lot of reading, because that's what psychology is. It's a lot of reading, you gotta do a lot of paperwork, you gotta do a lot of research, and it's always basically based on Sigmund Freud. A lot of them believe in Sigmund Freud. I don't. But so most psychiatrists can tell you. Okay, most psychiatrists can tell you what they know from what they've read. Most psychiatrists can tell you what they know from what other patients have told them. But most psychiatrists, unless they've been through it themselves, they can tell you the reality of life. They can tell you what it feels to be an alcoholic. They can't tell you what it feels like to be an HIV patient. They can't tell you what it is unless they've been through it. What are suicidal thoughts? I never had those, but they can't tell you what that means. I mean, what that feels like. They can tell you. They can't tell you the mood swings that you. They just can. They can talk to you, and they talk to you because they've got the experience of talking to other people, so they know what to say. Because it's basically the same thing, universal, but they cannot tell you. I'll give you an example. A lot of psychiatrists say that alcoholism is a disease, all right, and that alcoholism is hereditary. And I went to a psychiatrist I had a psychiatrist in Puerto Rico. I see the years went by. He's analyzing me, I'm analyzing him. And I say, hey doctor, I want to ask you a question. You say that alcoholism is hereditary? And he goes, yeah. I said, you actually believe that? I said, yeah. And I said, well, how could it be hereditary when I know people whose parents are alcoholics, but they're not alcoholics? I know my parents are alcoholics, and my sisters and brothers, they don't drink at all. And there are thousands and millions of people who are like that. Their parents drink, they do alcohol, and they're not alcoholics. So how can you guys sit here and say that it's hereditary? He goes, well, you have a point. And then he said, but you have more of a propensity to become an alcoholic. And I said, you see? Now, if you go with that, then I can agree with you. Of course, you have a propensity to be an alcoholic, because if both your parents drink, and that's you, and that's what you see your parents do every day, is drink. You as a child, you're gonna think that's normal. So when you get your first beer or your first taste of alcohol, you're gonna say, oh, that's normal because my mom and dad, they were always drinking, so it's normal for me to drink. So yes, so you do have a propensity to drink. And the issue now, when I said, why do you guys say that it's a disease? Well, it's not. Because a disease is something that you get. Cancer. You get cancer. You get leukemia. Okay? Okay? Arthritis is something that you get. Right? But you don't get alcoholism. You don't get addiction. That's not a disease. That's a choice. You choose to drink, and in that choice of you choosing to drink, you became an alcoholic. You chose to do drug, and in the choice of you doing drugs, you became an addict. All right, that's a choice, and it is not a disease because you kept on going. It's still an addiction. You're in a state of mind where it has become so hard for you. You're in a state of mind that you're dependent on that alcohol. You're dependent on that drug. But it's not a disease. It's something like a person when a person is craving for coffee. When a person is drinking so many coffee for so many years, they crave for that coffee. Their bodies are used to it. They wake up in the morning, they have their cup of coffee because they're used to that. They weren't, this is not something that you're not born an alcoholic. You're not born a drug addict. You're not born a thief. You're not born a liar. These are things that you acquire through life. So to say to someone who has an addiction of any kind, especially I'm talking about in the world of alcohol and in the world of addiction, for you to tell that person has a disease, because back in 1980, that's what they classified it at, and they still do it sometimes. Back in 1980, if you were here in the United States and you were an alcoholic, they gave you SSI. The government paid for you to say that was a disease, that you couldn't function in society without your health. So they gave you a check for $700 or $600 at that time, or $500 at that time. But when they got to the 90s, they took that word disease out of it and said, no, that's just an addiction. But now they're still using it. Now they're still using it as a disease. So when a person is an alcoholic, they say, oh, I have a disease. Oh, it's kind of hard. No, you don't have a disease. What you have is that you're stuck in a point in your life, and you pray that you don't know how to get out, because all you know how to do is drink. All you know how to do is do drugs. And how do you get rid of that? It's a whole process. It's not easy, but it's a whole process. And there's another thing that I can talk to you about, how I'm going to tell you later on how I beat alcoholism. After 25 years of drinking, and not just drinking once in a while, I drank every single day from, I'm not going to lie to you, from 1989. From January 1st of 1989 all the way to June 1st of 2013. I had my spurts where I stopped drinking for 10 months, then I went back. But that's it. As long as I ever was alcohol free, was for 10 months until now that I'm 7 years sober, going to 8. Right? I'm 2013? Yeah, I'm going to 8 because it was 2013. We're in 2020, yeah, 8 years. But I've done 10 months. So I can tell you how I did it. Okay, I can tell you what I felt. I can tell you it was hard, but that's, like I said, it's another story. So if that's where it all starts, with the I. But I will tell you how I became an alcoholic. I will tell you how that world changed me, and the things that I went through, some of the things that I did, and how I landed here to all those years of alcoholism. I ended up with a gorgeous wife, and I mean gorgeous inside and out. Physical appearances and everything, guys. It's the way they treat you. My wife treats me great. I'm very happy for that. It's another love story that I'll tell you. So love does exist. And how I got here for us having our own home. The background that my wife and I come from is very rough. And I had a rough childhood. I had a rough teenage years. Well, my teenage years were okay. And my adulthood was rough, but it became rough because that's the lifestyle that I chose. Okay. So yeah, so one of these days I'm going to give you my history. I'm going to give you a little preview of my history. I want to write a book one day, so hopefully I can help people out. Hopefully, because I keep procrastinating this book thing, and I never do, and I never do anything about it. But I'm gonna tell you how I became the man that I am today. I became the father that I am today. How the husband that I became. I've always been the same person. I've always been this good guy who loves to give back. I love to give to people. If I don't have it, if I have $1 in my pocket and you ask me for it, I will give it to you. I cannot see a person begging in the streets. I cannot see a person homeless. I brought a homeless person to my house one day in New York. My then wife was like, "Oh, Gio, you can't bring him in." I said, "No, I'm going to bring him in because it's freezing outside. We have an extra bedroom. It's freezing outside. I'm not going to let this man go outside freeze to death." So then I told him to shower. He showered. I gave him, he went to the other room. He slept there. The following morning, I gave him breakfast. I gave him $20. And I said, well, enjoy your day. At least he had a warm place to stay there. I didn't care. I told him, everything is going to be okay. So I had my daughter was born. She was 2 years old at the time. So I said, okay, no problem. I'm not worried about him attacking us or anything like that because I don't want to be awake. Number two, he doesn't look like that type of person. But I just couldn't let him stay outside. It was just way too cold. And those are the things that I do. That's the type of person that I am. But I become even better than that. I become a better version of me after I left alcoholism. Because everything that I used to do, that I used to care about before I became an alcoholic, were still there. My fundamentals, my beliefs, they were still there. They was just stuck. They were stagnant. They didn't get out because I had an addiction. I was taking care more of my addiction than I was taking care of